Okay, everyone. This is Trey for Nerd Talk, and I'm gonna explain how the time travel works in Avengers Endgame. Spoilers, obviously, but this has quite a few people confused. Too many people, in my honest opinion, are confused in how this works. And yes, I know my face isn't here. I had to set my phone up a certain way so show the paper because it'd be too awkward having to hold and draw with one hand. So hold on. Let's just call this up to this point the main MCU timeline. Now, whenever they go into the quantum realm, that's Hawkeye goes in this little time period into the quantum realm. He gets put into a parallel universe. Now, in order to understand this, you have to understand basically the whole concept of a parallel universe. Now, basically, the whole theory of the parallel universe can be explained like this. Let's say you have an option of going right or left. This is just a basic, simple explanation. So, you decide to turn right, but because of the possibility of left, another universe is created where you went left. It's a different timeline on what events conspired from you turning left. And it's for every decision ever. Now, like I said, this is very simple because, well, when you really sit back and think about it, it gets even more complicated than that. Well, if you decide to stop, what if it takes you 1 second to decide to turn right? What if it takes you 2 seconds? What if it takes you 1.2 seconds? What if it takes you 0.75 seconds? And so on and so forth. You see, there's just an infinite amount of possibilities for infinite amount of different outcomes. And that's just the whole idea of parallel universe. So in theory, if parallel universes are correct, there are two parallel universes or more, because there's really an infinite amount of possibilities. There's two that basically look the exact same. So getting back to the MCU timeline, this is what we're looking at. Another parallel universe that looks the same. Now, what's happening is they go into a parallel universe that's at this point in history right now. For where they're at was right here. Hawkeye was with his family. Okay? I don't know how far back they was. This is probably not to scale. But this is the Hawkeye universe. And so, during this time, it diverges a little bit. Yeah, and so he went to the alternate universe. And because he's there, he effectively altered the timeline. It is now on a different course. And then he left and went back to his own timeline. And so, in this, there's now an alternate universe where Hawkeye, another version of Hawkeye, went and called for his daughter. Now, the rest of the universe, because this really doesn't impact a whole lot, it can just go back and it could look the exact same. Or it could go in a completely different direction. This is completely unknown, basically. A question mark. And so now they know it works. They basically now need to go back in time, which isn't really time travel. It's basically alternate universes. It's basically they took we had theories of it's going to be alternate universes or it's going to be time travel. It turned out it's kind of both. So first they went back in time to the Battle of New York. This is the New York timeline. And then they went back in time to there's the New York timeline, the Thor, the Asgard, and the space. Okay. And so this one diverged majorly from the main timeline. We get Loki escaped. We get Captain America doing Hell Hydra, so now Hydra thinks Captain America is with them. We get Captain America fighting himself and him finding out, and then Captain America telling later, basically Bucky's alive. None of this affects this timeline though, because it's in a parallel universe. And so all of this happens and it creates an alternate timetable of these events. Basically, paradoxes can't happen because, well, it's just whatever they do, it doesn't affect their timeline. They went to a parallel universe that looks exactly like theirs, and then they're the butterfly effect that changed it. They're the one thing that was different in these two timelines. Now we got they all return to the same exact time. Here he returned, Ant-Man returned, but then another timeline was created because Captain America and Iron Man went to 1970. Don't remember the exact name of the place, so I'm just calling this by its year. 1970 timeline. And then they went into an alternate timeline where Tony Stark meets his father. Howard Stark meets someone that's basically going to become his son, Howard Stark. And they see someone that's basically Captain America lookalike. There's not, and well, Ant-Man gets tricked, and he has some missing Pym particles. He has a few less Pym particles. Not sure how that's going to impact. I am not certain whether that's going to have an impact on anything. It might have a major impact. It might be nothing. But basically, Hank Pym, it's missing a few Pym particles. And so there's that. There's this alternate timeline. And again, they all have divergent. They're all in disarray and chaos because they just lost an Infinity Stone. Except for this one, and then this one. Or this one lost 2, this one lost 2, this one lost 1. And this one lost 1. But they all lost Infinity Stone. And then they all came back to the same exact time here. And then here's this new, their timeline. It affected nothing in their timeline. But now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other timelines that were created where something basically we don't know what's going to happen. It's 6 total timelines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in Captain America, after they won all this, Captain America went back to this parallel universe and returned it. Went back to the 2 time stones. And this one is completely different. Thanos is gone. Gamora is gone. Nebula's gone. This timeline is way out of whack. This one's definitely going to be different. This timeline's going to be a bit interesting. I'm not sure if they return. I don't think Captain America put the ether back in the woman. What I think, but he returned, and this one's going to be different. Not sure how different. But this timeline kind of went off after Captain America. He basically time hopped, parallel dimension hopped. This one is also drastically different. Loki escaped. That's kind of different. In the 1970 timeline, we don't know how different this one's going to be. This one could be wacky all over the place too. This is a question mark. We don't know what's going to happen. 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 These are separate timelines, separate parallel universes. Basically, Marvel can now create multiple TV shows. But then there's one last timeline. Instead of returning home, he came here. The Peggy timeline. He diverged this timeline and danced with Peggy. Now, this is where it's a little confusing to me, at least. Did you got the shield? What I want to know is what happened here. Is the person in our MCU timeline someone from another parallel dimension who became Captain America and brought it and got a new shield and danced with Peggy, and he's the person that Peggy Carter danced with and married, and then he was just sitting there waiting? Or did he be with Peggy and live his life and then time hopped to this dimension? I do not know. All I know is we know at the very least there's a total of 7 different timelines at 7 different parallel universes where we know what's happened in this one, but the other 6, anything could be different. Like, it's the same from the time before they got there to everything before, but as soon as they got there into that timeline, it diverged into a new timeline, and after that event, anything could have happened. We don't know. This is basically my best attempt at explaining how the time travel worked in Endgame. I kind of understood it. I understood it like right away. I had like no problem trying to figure out what was going on. The only thing that really caught me off guard and confused me was old Cap. And again, the reason why that kind of confused me when it came to old Captain America, it's because, well, how did that happen? Because he was in a different parallel universe where the stuff in the past, the stuff he's doing doesn't affect the current timeline. So either he had found some pin particles and hopped back to this timeline somehow, uh, using a machine just to give Sam Wilson the shield, or it's like another Captain America from a different timeline, which I don't understand it. I don't understand that part. I really don't. It could be either or. Do you think there's like a different Captain America that just had a similar timeline to ours, so it has the same memories, but just happened to hop into a parallel universe which is ours, that had an extra shield hidden from us, and basically created went through all of these events, and I don't know. That one's a little hard to explain. That last part. The others, easy to explain from what they put. The last part kind of almost contradicts what they say. But I guess there's different possibilities of what it could be. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if they just they put a lot of thought into the time travel up until like that final moment. It seems like. But I think at that point they're just hoping it'll be just like a super heartfelt moment where you're not thinking about the rules and the logistics of the time travel. So I'm gonna let that slide. It was such a good movie. You gotta let certain continuity errors, certain plot holes slide, and every movie has a plot hole. You gotta let some of them slide. Yes, there's probably some off the wall, complicated answer, but sometimes you just gotta let it slide. You just gotta enjoy the movie. This movie, there was so much to enjoy. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let this one little moment make it not good, because it was honest. This movie was amazing. I understood the movie all the way, and then yes, they had some differences, but you know what? It was enjoyable. It was amazing, and just thank you, Marvel, for all of this. Thank you for Endgame. Thank you for taking us along on this 22 movie journey.